committee to the scientific session of National Level Conference on Neurodegenerative Disorder, Chaitanya 2025, an approach to rejuvenate.
Without further delay, let's dive right into the scientific session. This scientific session has 3 master sessions from 3 eminent resource persons. After each session, audience are given 10 minutes for intellectual interaction with resource person. Let us begin the first master session, which will be delivered by the resource person Dr. Murli Krishna sir. I request Dr. Jairaj sir to escort Dr. Murli Krishna sir to the dais.
Welcome you, sir. Dr. Murli Krishna sir, Principal, SV Ayurvedic College, Tirupati, Andhra Pradesh. Sir has received State Medal for a best scientific papers on the Ayurvedic approach to skin disease, Vijayawada, 1985. Sir has received 2 gold medals and 3 crash prizes for outstanding performance in all 5 years BMS examination from Daivi Srinivas Acharyalu Memorial and Chavali Ramaya Memorial Nagarjun University in the year of 1986. Doctor of Science honor was conferred by the Open International University for Complementary Medicine, Colombo, 1997. Outstanding Young Performer of the Zone Award at the level of Coastal, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. Sir has received National Award as Outstanding Young Indian at Bangalore. Sir received State Level Dhanvantari Award in the year of 2016 for outstanding services in Ayurveda by Suraksha Health Village and Sukhayo Panchakarma Vidyashala Vijayawada on the occasion of Dhanvantari Jayanti celebration. Sir received International Charaka Award in recognition of excellence in Ayurvedic teaching from Association of Ayurvedic Professionals of North America at 24th International Conference on Kaya Chikitsa and Panchakarma. Sir was governing body member of CCRAS, New Delhi. Sir was expert speaker in many national and international conferences. Sir was the member for syllabus framing committee in CCIM for UG and postgraduate in Panchakarma. Sir was keynote speaker for first Australasian conference on Panchakarma and yoga at Australia. Sir was monitoring committee member for Amalaki Rasayana projects. Sir is an expert committee member in many organizations. Sir has given 147 guest lectures, paper presentations and webinars in India and abroad. Sir was a chairperson for 25 times in national, international seminars or workshops. 30 publications in national and international journals. Sir have given several radio talks on Ayurveda through air, Tirupati and Kadapa. More than 200 lectures given on health and Ayurveda in Sveta to train TDD employees. I request Dr. Murli Krishna sir.
I request Dr. Jairaj sir to welcome Dr. Murli Krishna sir by offering bouquet as a token of honor.
Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Murli Krishna sir to take over the stage for delivering your session, sir.
My salutations to Lord Dhanvantari. My salutations to Lord Venkateshwara, my teachers, the august audience here. I recognize my teaching faculty here, so many faculty, Dr. B.S. Prasad, Board of Ayurveda President, former, and Santosh Belwadeji, Principal, and other teaching faculty, and even previous principals of this college, and the audience who represent different institutions of India came with the enthusiasm to learn the neurodegenerative disorders. And with this, let me take this opportunity to stand before you and say a few words about the Ayurvedic perspective of neurodegenerative disorders, because you know neurodegenerative disorders are a ocean-like subject. and it is an adamantine task, even Everest-like high, because the billions of dollars are spent on research, but nothing is worked out so far. So the people are again facing the problems of getting the quality of life after getting the neurodegenerative disorders.
Just open it.
Next slide, please. If you go to the tradition, Vedic tradition says you must live for 100 years. And in the last it said, Bhuyasrava Sarada Satat, even beyond 100 years. How you have to live with the quality of life. That is, Pashyema Sharada Shatam. You are able to see the things, you are able to live for 100 years, you are able to listen to the things, and also you must have the strength, and also all the indriyas, that is sensory objects, are intact, and your bodily parts are cooperative. So this type of quality of life is invoked in the Vedic tradition. That means our tradition always says 100 years with the full quality of life. Next, please. If you see the aging, because we are saying the neurodegenerative disorders, aging is a factor, but earlier days these disorders used to come in the late part of age, but nowadays it is observed in the very early stages of life. But before going to the neurodegenerative disorders, let me say a few words about the aging process in Ayurveda. What actually the aging process on Ayurveda is understood. Jara means Jush Vayo Hanau. It reduces the span of life. Lifespan is shortened. That is the quality of the Jara. Jara Saidhilyam Apadakaram, which induces the degeneration in the bodily parts. These two are the very important thing. It reduces the span and it induces the degeneration in the different parts of the body. But of course, if the Jara Mrityu are the Swabhava Bala Pravurta Vyadhis, they are inevitable. One has to face them. There is no other forego for anybody. But it has two qualities, Kalaja and Akalaja. That means if it is timely, okay, in the proper way, that has to be accepted. And if it is untimely, this has to be corrected or this has to be managed. So for this Jara aging process, we have two factors described in Ayurveda. One is Daivam and Purushakara. What is Daivam? Daivam Purvajanma Krita Karmam. Daivam Adrustam Ya Purvajanma Krita Karmam. That means it is not in our hands. It is descended from our ancestors or even from our past lives, and which is already pre-coined, predetermined in the constitution or the sara of the individual when he is taking the birth. So that is the Daivam. Daivam is not in our hands. That is what we see. And Purushakara means the efforts of the today. That is factors, that is our lifestyle, our food and other factors, environmental factors, stress factors, all these come under the Purushakara. So the Daivam and Purushakara both play a vital role for induction of the untimely Jara. If you see the Daiva and Purushakara as described in Charaka Vimanasthana, Daivam Atma Krutam Vidyat Karma Yat. That means Daivam Atma Krutam Yat Karma Purvadehikam. Purvadehikam means in the previous life it is done, that is descended to this as a karma, and that is being manifested in the form of disease. Purva Janma Kruta Papam Vyadhi Rupena Piditam, this is said. Purushakarastu Kriyate Yad Iha Param. In this life, whatever that we do, that is called Purushakara. Next, please. And if you see, the Daiva is dominant, conducive to long, healthy life. Suppose if it is a favorable Daivam for you, that is predetermined factors are favorable for you, you live a very long life. And if Purushakara, human effort, proper lifestyle, Rasayana Chikitsa, improper lifestyle has to be curtailed, if all these things are done, then you can live also longer. That is the reason why in Charaka Samhita, all the Samhitas, every chapter there is an advocation of some lifestyle corrections, some food advocations and some sleep advocations. Next, please. This is the Daivam which is not in our hands. If we are born as a Samaprakriti, we have an excellent longevity. And if we are born as a Sleshma Prakriti, of course, we have a good longevity. And Sara like tissue predominance, Sattva Sara is having excellent longevity, and Tvak Mamsa Asti Majja Shukra Sara is also having good longevity. So these are all not in our hands. These are all predetermined, that what we say in the name of Daivam. Next please. So if you go through the Purushakara factors which are in our hand, for those factors actually there was a lot of discussion between the Atri Punarvasu and Agnivesha regarding the lifespan. So whether can we extend the lifespan? If the lifespan is predetermined, what is the fun of doing all these therapies? So in this, Ahara and Vihara, lifestyle, diet regimen, physical factors, psychological factors, Achar Rasayana, all these, and purification, that is seasonal purification, rejuvenation through drugs. So these factors, if you regularly practice or undergo or keep in your life, then you will have a excellent longevity. Next please. So that is what classification of Jara is, physiological and pathological. But in the pathological, this is also said in Ayurvedic classics, devoid of upastambhas. There are three upastambhas, Ahara, Nidra, Maidhuna is these three factors which are regulated as per the classics, you will live longer. And if these are divided, one minute please, and 5 other factors are also described. Those we are going to describe next slide. Next please. So if the divide of upastambhas, what is going to happen? This is also described in classics as balakshayam, decreased physical fitness, physical endurance is reduced, and dhatu saidhilyam, degeneration of tissues are going to cause, and indriyakshayam, decreased cognition or sensory skills are reduced, and turn leads to jara vyadi, aging process is manifested. So traya upastambhas are directly linked to the degenerative conditions of the body as described in classics. Next please. If you see the factors, Jaraya Panchahetavaha, Vagbhata says, there are 5 causes for the aging, premature aging. What are those? Pantaha, excessive walking. The people nowadays have become a fashion that they go for the long walks, but that is not advised. Moderate walking is advised in Ayurvedic classics as Ardhasaktya Vyayama. Half of your physical endurance you are allowed to do the Vyayama. And Sitam, excessive intake of cold substances. Now in the younger generation, this has become very regular feature, regular habit for them, that taking chilled water. And Kadannani, foods without nutritional value and more dry in nature. So those Kadannani and Vayo Vruddhascha Yoshita, indulgence in sex in older than to him. And Manasa Pratikulyamcha, this is also very important. That is a hostile environment. If your working area is hostile, and then you are exposed to a lot of stress, and either at the family level or at your professional level or at the social level, wherever that you have a hostile, a negative environment surrounding to you, those are going to cause aging features in the individual very fastly. Next please. Next please. So now coming to the neurodegenerative disease, there are 5 things which are narrated by Charaka Sutrasthana 28 chapter. So it quotes that there are 5 should be perfectly managed or corrected. They must be intact. If they are intact, you will live longer life. What are those 5? The suitable for you. That food has to be adopted for you. That is Shatrim Satam Sahasrani Ratrinam Hita Bhojanaha. Whoever take the Hita Bhojana, they will live for 36,000 nights. That is 100 years. So Jataragni, Agni has to be kept in normal position. This is also very important. Next is Anupahata Dhatushma. Dhatvagni has to be corrected. Dhatvagni must be in the normal. Anupahata Srotas, the circulatory channels must be intact. They must provide the proper circulation of the Asthayi Dhatus from one place to the another place for the nourishment. Anupahata Vayu, that is Dhatu Poshaka Rasavahi Vyanarupa Marutaha. This is what it is said in commentator. That means the Vyanavata, when it is taking the Asthayi Dhatus from one place to the another place where it is needed, so in that place, those channels are, if they are intact, then no channel obstructions are there, then these people will live for longer life, happy life or healthy life. Next, please. So now coming to our present topic, that is the topic of Chaitanya 2025, neurodegenerative disorders. If you see the knowledge related to that, it is a depth like a ocean, and the task appears for all the scientists like an Everest. So both things are there, Gambhira and even high. So we will try to understand what actually the neurodegenerative disorders, how we can understand through Ayurveda, and what are the research works so far conducted on this, on animal models and even human models, and how they are going to get the benefit or how they are going to supplement for our day-to-day practice. Number one, the first point is the definition, that is neurodegenerative disease is a term applied to a variety of conditions. They are conglomeration of different types of conditions, not only one, which result from a chronic breakdown, that is cell death, and deterioration of the neurons, that is dying of the neurons, particularly those of central nervous system. So this focal area where the degeneration is going on in the neurons, this set of diseases comes under the neurodegenerative disorders. Next, please. So top 5 neurodegenerative disorders are ranked because nowadays the ranking is also there: Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Huntington's disease, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, MNDs, and even multiple sclerosis. So many things, Huntington's chorea, so many things are there, but we focus for 5 important areas of the neurodegenerative disorders. Next, please. So this is the most common cause of dementia, Alzheimer's disease. Once you come to the Alzheimer's, so usually dementia, Smriti Nasa is taking place in the Jara, but it is taking place after the 80 or 90 years. But nowadays, the very early stages, they lose their memory power and they are unable to recognize the person's places, and orientation is also lost. So that is what the condition. Parkinson's is, of course, it has 3 things: tremors, rigidity, and bradykinesia. These 3 important, where the dopamine secretion in the substantia nigra is reduced and then causes the conglomeration of the triad, that is symptoms triad, and that is the tremors, rigidity, and slow movement. The tremors, rigidity, and slow movement, both, all these are signs. These 3 signs are very valid for the recognition of Parkinson's. Next, please. So Huntington's disease, this is also the very important disease where trinucleotide variations, that is CAG sequencing, is disturbed in the genes. Then Huntington's chorea is manifested. Choreiform movements, involuntary movements are commonly seen. And in addition to that, decline in thinking and psychiatric problems, all these things are there. Instability in walking, all these things are there. Next, please. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as Lou Gehrig disease, and ALS is a popular word for that. ALS is a motor neuron disease that affects nerve cells controlling voluntary muscle movement. This leads to muscle weakness, twitching, eventually paralysis. That means if here the central neurons are affected, whether upper motor neuron lesions usually and lower motor neuron lesions are also there, and upper motor neuron lesions are affected, then the corresponding muscles will go into the flaccidity and amyotrophic, that is muscle wasting is commonly seen along with the other symptomatology. Next, please. So this is MND. ALS also come under the MND, but MND is a group of conglomeration of several diseases, but of course ALS is the predominant one. Next is, so multiple sclerosis is also another important area. Earlier it was not there in the neurodegenerative disorders. Recently it was incorporated. Why? Because here it is an autoimmune disease, no doubt, but our own immune system, like neuroglial cells, start attacking the myelin sheath, and gradually the myelin sheath demyelination is taking place. Demyelination is going to cause the degeneration of the neuron, and ultimately the manifestation of multiple sclerosis is taking place. So next, please. So onset is unrecognizable. The problem with this is the Purva Rupa is very, very unrecognizable. That is the reason why by the time it surfaces as a manifested fully bloomed disease condition, then 80%, 90% of the damage is already caused inside. So the symptoms of onset of neurodegenerative disorders are unrecognizable, with the cellular and molecular alterations accumulating over time. The driven factors are oxidative stress. This is a free radical onslaught on the body. So this is a very important area, because our majority of the rasayanas, they are antioxidants. They say majority of the herbs are called antioxidants. The oxidative stress is a very important factor for neurodegeneration in all neurodegenerative disorders. Abnormal protein aggregation, this is also another area where the aggregation of proteins are taking place, like tau proteins and beta amyloid proteins, like so many proteins are there. The respective conditions, they accumulate in the nerve cells and causes phagocytosis, and mitochondrial dysfunction and dysregulation of autophagy. This is also another mitochondrial, because you know the cell is a very important component is the mitochondria. If the mitochondria is not there, power is not there for the cell. If anything happens into the mitochondria, then the cell is going to die. So mitochondrial dysfunction is a very important area for neurodegeneration, and dysregulation in autophagy and eating on its own. That is dysregulation taking place, progressively impair neuronal function and survival. Gradually, nervous function will be lost, and ultimately it may cause threat to the longevity, that is the lifespan of the individual. So, aging and neurodegeneration, as I told you, I introduced you Jara first, because aging is a very important factor for the neurodegeneration. As it is said, it is the single most important risk factor for degenerative diseases of the central nervous system. As the lifespan of humans continues to increase, an increasing burden of degenerative diseases are emerging. Nowadays, longevity is increased, lifespan is increased, average lifespan is even 81 in some countries. There are 5 zones in the world called blue zones. They have highest densely populated centenarians in them. More than 100 years people are populated in those 5 areas of the world. That means the longevity is increased, and then the threat for the neurodegenerative disorders are also increased. Next, please. So now if you see here, I want to say on this side, you can see the description, the representative image of neurodegeneration. Is it visible, I think? But I don't want to say, because we will go further discussion in these factors, that is genetic factors, beta amyloid fibrils deposition, that is proteins, and then ROS is reactive oxygen species generation, that is oxidative stress pathway is triggered, and ultimately immune response and microglial activation is taking place, that is immunological response, either by oxidative stress or by even autoimmune phenomena, and ultimately a healthy neuron is becoming neurodegenerated neuron. This is what the background of neurodegeneration. And if you see on this, Alzheimer's disease is 83.6% global prevalence among the neurodegenerative disorders. This is the highest one. First and foremost is Alzheimer's disease, and Parkinson's is around 12.3, Huntington's disease is 0.7. But if you see the Alzheimer's deaths, the many deaths are taking place, around 15 lakh deaths taking place every year on Alzheimer's disease. Next, please. So now if you see the visibility, the neurodegenerative disorders in the multiple sclerosis, demyelination is taking place. Myelin sheath is damaged by autoimmune phenomena through microglial cells, and the denaturing of the myelin sheath is taking place and causing the degeneration. And if you see in the Parkinson's disease, substantia nigra, where the dopamine is released, the major portion of the dopamine producing cells are damaged, and ultimately the triad, signs triad is manifested. And Alzheimer's disease, you can see the vast degeneration in the areas where the cognitive skills are focally localized. Those, and you can see the shrunken brain. And if you see on the other side, Huntington's disease is also where a specific gene defect CAG gene defect. CAG repetition is taking place more than 27 times. If less than 27 times CAG repetition is taking place, is healthy. More than 27 times if it is taking place, CAG means this is nucleotides, that is sequencing is taking place, that causes Huntington's proteins, and Huntington's proteins causing Huntington's choreiform movements are manifested. So the plaque accumulation is taking place. So if you overall see, so there are environmental risk factors outside from the body. They are not in our hand. That is what we say the Purushakara. Aging, the allostatic load. Aging means if we are exposed to lot of free radicals and oxidative stress is exposed, and oxidative stress accumulation is very high in the aging people, because they accumulated the stress of oxidative stress for the last 80 years, 70 years, 60 years, then that has crossed to the limits, then it manifests. And genetic risk factors, these are not in our hands. They are at the time of the birth itself, genetic risk factors are present, and we are born with that. So if all these come together, age-related neural degeneration is taking place, and synaptic disconnection, neural degeneration is taking place, and increase in the production of reactive proteins, accumulation of cellular breakdown products, and disruption in the blood-brain barrier immunological response, because neuroglial cells are also involved, and specific gene mutations are taking place, allelic variations are taking place, reactive proteins are formed, and those proteins are accumulated in the different parts of the brain and causing the different varieties of neurodegenerative disorders. They ultimately cell-to-cell transfer of pathology proteins taking. One cell is damaged, and this cell is going to cause death of the other adjoining cells. In this way, sequentially, there is a destruction of the neurons taking place one part to the another part, and it is spreading like water under the bed. So gradually the disease phenotype is manifested. Ultimately the disease is manifested. So this much background is taking place hidden inside before manifesting the neurodegenerative disorders. So now if you see the sixth leading cause of death in the United States, Alzheimer's. So that is very, very important. And another important thing is 16.1 million Americans provide unpaid care for people with Alzheimer's and other dementias. So because their care is also a burden for the liability for the governments, because they take care of the elderly people of their own country. So these caregivers provided an estimated 18.4 billion hours of care valued 232 billion rupees. So unimaginable, that much huge amount is spent on these people for caring them. Next please. So major focus for scientific and clinical interest. Why we are conducted a national seminar on that? Because it is drawing the attention of the scientists and also medical professionals. Why? Their increasing medical and social importance. Earlier, Alzheimer's is we read in the books, but nowadays we are regularly seeing in the practice. Many neurodegenerative disorders are only taught in these classrooms, but not seen in the OPs. But nowadays, almost majority of the neurodegenerative disorders are familiar for every student, because the incidence is gradually increasing. And science and clinical medicine, because of their prevalence, cost, complex biochemistry, pathology, and lack of mechanism-based treatments, great impacts not only on individual but also caregivers and society. So this is actually, that is the reason why billions of dollars are pumped for research activity in neurodegeneration. Yes, please. So economic predict says that preventing or delaying the onset of Alzheimer's by 5 years, if you can prevent or postpone the onset of Alzheimer's disease, would cut next please, would cut Medicare spending for Alzheimer's by half. 5 years if you can postpone, 50% correction, that means cut of the burden, financial burden will be there. So that is the reason why primary prevention and secondary prevention is also very important areas for the neurodegeneration. Not only complete management, but prevention is also very important. Next please. So now you can see the different brain diseases attack different brain substrates, different brain regions. So this just I am giving you because all of you are familiar for this, but of course I will let you know again. CVAs, cerebrovascular accidents. CVA, commonly we come across stroke is taking place. Stroke is going to precipitate the neurodegeneration. This is also one of the areas. But demyelinating diseases, primarily myelin sheath, this is multiple sclerosis, what is happening here. And infectious diseases, various substrates, different infections affect the brain and going to trigger the neurodegeneration in a very fast way. Of course, neurodegenerative diseases, primarily neurons are damaged by different causes, by oxidative stress, accumulation of proteins, or demyelination taking place via the autoimmune phenomena, whatever that may be, but ultimately taking place. Next, please. So you can see here, this is the neurodegenerative brain, this is a healthy brain. How the gaps are taking place. The brain is shrunk. Atrophied brain is commonly seen in the MRIs. And atrophy of the brain is not going to cause any immediate effect, but in the course of time, because you know that the cranial cavity is very intact. If anything is shrunk means it has to be filled. So it is provocating the intracranial hemorrhages in majority of the patients. So this is also very important because once it is shrunk, the shrunken area